Hi, welcome back to the back deck. Please bear with the background noise. So in the front of my house, there's a walkway, there's a concrete sidewalk that goes to the steps going up to our front deck to lead to our front door. And in the past, I've lit those up with inexpensive landscaping lights, like this. This is 97 cents at Walmart. I've seen it for sale at other stores as well. It's made in China, it's cheap, it's practically disposable. The problem I have is, where I've got these lights, the grass and weeds like to grow up around it, and I have to weed whip. When I do, the weed whip, if it hits this lens, it just shatters it. If it hits this plastic enough times, it'll crack it. This is a very simple design. There's a solar panel on the top. You pull this tab to activate the battery. It'll store a charge all day, and then when the sun goes down, or if it gets cloudy, it'll turn on. So when you're ready to use, you pull that tab out and it's ready to go. Then you've got this simple twist-on lens. You've got this plastic tube base, and then the bottom, you've got a spike that you drive into the ground. And I've used this arrangement for years. However, like I said, weed whipping destroys these. And I wasn't sure what to do. Well, a few years back, I saw a video by CloverTac. I'll include a link to the video at the end of this video, and I'll include a link in the description section, where he was lighting up his shooting range using inexpensive components. And he was using lights similar to this. And what he was doing was he was using EMT, electric metallic tubing, as a base instead of say this spike, driving that into the ground, and then putting a sleeve of PVC polyvinyl chloride tubing over top of that, and then inserting the light on top of that. Here in Michigan, we've got a lot of moisture issues. You know, we get rain, we get snow, there's a high water table everywhere because Michigan more or less is a big swamp. So using a metal base probably isn't a good idea. This will eventually corrode. Not to mention, this is the walkway into the house and it's right next to the driveway. So I use salt every winter to deal with the ice problem so we don't have a slip and fall. Between the salt and all the moisture, this will corrode. So I'm going to leave this part out. But depending on where you live, this may not be a bad idea. Actually, I think it's a more sturdy base. So mine isn't going to be as rugged as his, but I'm dealing with corrosion. So I'm simply cutting a section of PVC to length, painting it. I decided to go with John Deere green. And then I'm replacing this small piece with this taller, more sturdy piece, and then reusing the spike in the base. So I'll go ahead and show you how I do this, and then I'll show you the final result up front. So I'm simply going to take my tape measure, lock it in place here, put it on the end, and measure 11 inches, or just a hair more, right to this slot here that's for cutting straight lines. Just hold it down, put the saw in there, cut it, yep, about 11 1/16, that's about what I need. And I'll just use this as my template for each of the corresponding pieces. If it's just a tad longer, I'm not worried about it. I'll go ahead and clean up the edges here with a little bit of sandpaper or deburring tool if you've got that. Then I'm going to go ahead and put it on the cardboard, spray paint it. So ordinarily I'd clean up the end with the deburring tool. I seem to have misplaced mine, so I'm just taking some leftover sandpaper that I've got. It really doesn't matter what grit it is. This is 150 grit, but it really doesn't matter. Just clean all that stuff up by let's just pulling it right out of there. Deburring tool would make this nice and neat, a little bit more professional, but I'm not really too worried about it. The next step is simply to paint. I'm just using some John Deere green I've already painted this one. So shaking up the can long enough, rule of thumb, 60 seconds. Hear the ball rattle and shake it for about 60 seconds. I'm gonna have to paint one side, paint the other. Not going for anything, not trying to be Picasso here. Trying not to block the shot with my arm, but see what I'm painting. And of course it rolls over. Oh well, that's fine. Whatever. That's the nice thing about this project is, for me, it doesn't have to be elaborate or precision or... Yeah, it's going to take a couple of coats of paint. Be back later when it's all dry and done. Alright, so here we are. I put 2 on one side of the steps and followed right along the edge, the walkway, so at every seam and then right in between. All the way down to the driveway. I've got 2 more sitting over there in case some of these don't light up tonight. Most of these are older. They've gone through rain, snow, you name it. And they don't last forever, but for under $1 each, it really doesn't matter. Found my deburring tool. So this is how it works. See, it just clean up the inside there. I'd still need to take some sandpaper or file to the outside. It simply just cleans that up. Let's see how well they hold up to the weed whip. And that's what I wanted it to do. So here we are at night. They don't provide a lot of light, but it's enough to see where you're walking. My wife's also got some LED lights here in the flower bed in the front. So it's enough LED light to see where you're walking. And there's extra right here on the steps. So it's not as fancy as some other lights. You might say it looks a little cheap, but that's exactly what they are. These are inexpensive. If anything happens to them, I'm not worried about it. I don't have to hook up any wiring, or it's not a lot of money to replace any of these. And I don't expect them to last that long. If I spend $20 a year in replacement lights, I'm okay with it. Thanks for watching.